This is Happy Munkey.
This is Happy Munkey.
Happy Munkey. Happy Munkey.
This is Happy Munkey.
Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. We're Happy Monkey on the boulevard smoking the green. Happy Halloween, everybody. Happy Halloween, everybody. Coming from the Happy Monkey family. Ramon and Vlad, everybody. Today, we gonna hit a little bit about the old school legendary strains. You know, we talk a lot about the AJ Sour Diesel, chocolate tie, you know, beef and broccoli, how niggas used to mix it up and shit like that. You know, a little bit of old school experiences, and then we definitely got a special guest. Everybody goes by the name of Evelyn Indica, the founder of the York Cannabis Times. She is a OG, everybody. She went from the block to journalism, so now she's here with us to give you a little bit of herself and how she got into the whole cannabis industry. So, everybody, tune in. So, I can tell you the first time I saw or I smelled chocolate tie. You remember chocolate tie? Right, so I'm probably was.
People do not know where that term beef and broccoli was concepted at.
Oh, so you actually, yeah, before I say that, you want to explain to them what beef and broccoli actually is?
What it was, ladies and gentlemen, remember, in our era, there weren't many options. It was either hydro, haze, Arizona, or regular weed.
Yeah.
So when we got into the high grade a little bit, which was the hydro and the haze, there was chocolate always around. So then what we did was we mixed the high-end hydro or haze with the chocolate, and the term beef and broccoli was born. And now everybody's like, oh, smoking that beef and broccoli. That was basically our urban term for our cross of genetics that we had access to.
To our little salad, the little salad blunt. We mixed the beef and broccoli, and there you go.
So tell us about your first encounter with this magical chocolate tie.
Right. So I might have been like maybe 12 years old. Maybe I haven't been. I'm not 13 yet. I couldn't say that. I used to, my older brother used to have these like stickers. It would say Hawaii and it would say chocolate tie. I'm like, what is that? And it'll be like the labels. It's not actually stickers now that I know. It was just labels on his like radio, like the tape cassette radio back in the days. So I'm like, what is this? And I used to find the little baggies with the little Hershey Kisses on it. You remember the baggies that have like little pictures of Hershey Kisses on it?
Because that was the packaging back then. You had to get real crafty. They had the little packaging with that looked like a little fish, like the sweetest fish.
Yes.
It was all different types of bags. That was the
thing, different type of baggies. So I smelled this like, damn, it actually smelled like chocolate. What is this? And so I finally bought a bag of weed for the guys on the block, and I'm like, damn, what is this? And then they were like, look, go ahead, smell it. And I smelled it, and it smelled just like chocolate. Like it was amazing. It was like, what? So I had, obviously I already seen everybody else smoking, so I know it was weed. I know what it was, but I didn't think that it smelled like actual chocolate. And so I was very impressed, especially as a young man. So I was like, yo, we gotta try this. And some of my older friends are already smoking weed, and when I say older friends, like maybe like 2 years older than me, 12 to 14 and 14 and 15-year-olds is they're in another league. When you're 12 and you're not in high school yet, they're already in high school. You know what I mean? And then that's the first time I got to smoke weed. It was chocolate tie, and it gave me the super giggles, and they gave me the munchies. They gave me all the good stuff that a high could give you. Like, you know what I mean? I said, oh, that's it. It's over. I'm hooked from here on. And it wasn't really till like I was 16 is when I really, really started smoking weed. But that was my first encounter with chocolate Thai. That was my first weed.
I want to talk about my first encounter with an exotic weed outside of hydro and haze. I remember it must have been like 18 years ago or something like that. Or I don't know, maybe a little less. It was maybe like 12 years ago. I encountered that AJ Sour Diesel. And I was like, what the fuck is
super
this?
stinky?
Like, you know, it was so strong. I remember I had to pay $50 for like half an eighth. That was the price. It was unheard of. I don't know what it was. It's like a Jetsons. It's like a flying car back then. It was like, what is this? Like, wow.
Yeah.
And it was so amazing. It's the first time you really taste terpenes and something with such a strong smell. Shout out for AJ Sour Diesel for really changing the game.
For real.
Because New Yorkers are very hard-headed. For you to get them outside of
their comfort
zone, it was like, it didn't matter how many flavors there was. There was nobody really even trying to entertain anything here in New York. And I think that AJ Sour Diesel really broke the mold.
And it was crazy here because we didn't, you know, most people don't really know where it come from or whatever. So they made all sorts of stories about where the sour strain came from. What the hell is this? I even heard to the fact that the sour diesel strain came from Afghanistan. All sorts of wild, crazy stories out there in the streets.
Hood Chronicles.
Hood Chronicles. Hood
Folktales.
Hood Folktales. There you go. Hood Folktales, my brother.
No Google back then. There was
it was
my nigga Ralph. Where you heard that at?
Exactly. That's what it was. That's it.
What? For real?
Who?
You
when?
sure? Yeah, I'm telling you. That was it. That was the Google.
That's it. That was the Google, bro. That's it. The word of mouth. And that's how it went down. That shit was crazy.
I was as fact checking as it could. My nigga Ralph wouldn't lie to me. He told me
Yeah.
it came from Mars and they flew it down, and that's what it is.
And that's what it is. Because my man Ralph was mad smart, and that's what it is.
He told me, and that's what it is. That's how it worked back then. That was the fact checking back then.
That was the fact check.
Then I remember the other time that I smoked. The next thing that I smoked, sour diesel was the only thing for quite a few years. Then there was some friends of mine that were like doing really well for themselves, so they traveled a lot. So they would buy a half a pound just for personal of some weed called Purple Urkel. Shout out to my boy that created the Purple Urkel, our boy Brett.
Yo,
I didn't even know that. I know at the time I didn't know who it was or where it came from, but now
we didn't know none of
all
this
the
stuff.
purple strains that he's the one that came up with them. So, but back then I had no clue. Like I said, this is all Jetson stuff. So this guy comes and he's like, "You want to smoke?" He pulls out something purple. I'm like, "Purple?
What the
like
hell is that?
what the hell is this?" Like, and it was the first time I got to see like the whole dynamic of the whole purple flower.
I mean, until then, the only way you would see some like exotic weed and it looked fake to us, because, you know, New Yorkers, we don't, you know, see it to believe it type of situation, especially the hood, was High Times. You know, the like at magazines and stuff like that. You don't really see that.
Shout
all
out
this
to High Times.
Yeah, all that shit was bullshit
Danny
to us.
Danko and the rest of the crew.
Yeah, man, my man.
That was our only visual to know what's going on in the rest of the world.
That's the only way. So it was like, what? So the first time you see weed with actual purple anything on it, it was like, oh my god, it was a big thing. Like, oh, like Granddaddy
it was like seeing
Purple
a Tesla for the
Kush.
first time. Like, this thing doesn't run on gas. It was like it was like
it's
crazy to me. Like purple, unheard of.
Granddaddy Purple.
Because even though Purple Haze has the name, it not as purple as
it didn't have purple.
It didn't really have purple like that.
No. Especially uptown, you didn't see that.
No.
And then that OG Kush.
Then the first time I saw a Kush was this Kush called Master Kush, and that was crazy too. It was like an indica, crazy, knock you out, and it just like these are all gaps of like 3-4 years between each one of these
Yeah, it
strains that I
wasn't-
got
yeah.
to see here.
Yeah, and like different places and different travels, I saw these things. Like, one of the first times that I actually saw Granddaddy Perp was in Massachusetts, to be honest. So it's like it was very hard to like actually get into like different strains here in New York, because honestly, even if there were a lot of strains in the hood where we come from, we were only into what we into. You're only into sativas pretty much, and you're only into at that point sour and haze. That's it, because that was top. You know what I mean? Even when the Kushes and all that came out, nobody's really into like the sleepy feel.
No, not at
So
all. That all came really like in the last, I would say, like
Yeah, with
4 years
with the
maybe.
opiate epidemic type of situation.
The Kushes.
Yeah.
Before that,
Yeah,
people would say like, "Oh, nobody wants that there."
yeah. But now,
We've come a long way in this cannabis journey.
yeah, now we vaping and
Fast
shit.
forward to 2019. Now people take edibles. I remember that was unheard of. Edible.
Well,
Even
the
that.
only thing edible I've ever heard of was a brownie. That
And
is
even
it.
that,
I've
it
never
wasn't
heard of
really like a
no,
thing.
No, it was not a thing in
Nobody
the East Coast. They were like,
ever
whatever,
was.
like like
It was never
Edible,
a thing. Like nobody was selling edibles. Like I never heard
no,
that
like I didn't
in
hear
the
of an
history
edible spot.
of life.
Like, yo, let's go cop the
Like
brownies.
it was like, oh, like
around
it
the
could
corner.
be done, but nobody's actually doing it.
No.
New Yorkers has like always been like behind the West Coast, like 5 years at least, 10 years, I would say.
Yeah, cannabis, yeah, man. Well, all the a lot of, for what I say, at least in the last 20 years, most of the like dope growers and stuff like that is West Coast, straight up and down.
Of course.
So they got all the dope shit, and now we up on it, and now there's a billion flavors here.
Oh no, now
No.
it's like Baskin Robbins. And
Smoking
everybody's a
billion
weed
flavors.
expert now in New York.
Yeah,
I
that's
know
it.
the percentages and the
Yeah.
terpenes and yeah, everybody's a high time judge.
Everybody's a cannabis cup
Everybody now.
judge.
Like, have you ever even been to California? No, but I know. I googled it and saw it on Instagram.
Yeah, there you go. You don't smoke? No. Kind of smoke. Like I still smoking Dutchess.
And then we have entered the era of the cannabis brands, and it doesn't matter what's in it. If it has a certain brand, then it has to be good.
Yeah.
And
That
now
is
people
crazy to
follow
me.
brands. Now
That
they
is
don't follow
crazy to
weed
me.
anymore. Before it was the weed and strains. Now
Yeah.
they just follow brands blindly.
That's it.
It's so crazy, like the whole transition, like from
Yeah.
when we started to now,
Mm-hmm.
the whole perspective on the cannabis consumer in New York.
Yeah. And now, I mean, apparently now people smoking more now than they did back then.
Oh no, I'm not gonna lie to you. The tolerance game now, I don't know. Remember we used to smoke 3 or 4 of us 0.3,
Yes.
less than a gram, and used to
Yes.
be high as hell. Now
Yes.
these younger people, they smoke a eighth and a blunt and be like, next.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is
I don't know.
crazy.
I'm out here being a chief of y'all. I'm out here smoking blunts now. Crazy. Like you said, I remember smoking a 0.4 with 3 of us, maybe in the basement, in the staircase somewhere, and we got high. We got the munchies.
Not high, like super high.
Yeah, you got the munchies.
And then the more advanced level was like if you were a extra consumer was like you would roll like anywhere from a 0.7 to a gram, and you were
in
like,
one blunt?
oh,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you were-
yeah.
that was like big. That was like rolling a Godfather. That was like huge. Like, oh, my nigga Ralph smokes 20s.
Yeah, that was a
That was
big
like
thing.
crazy.
Yeah,
like,
he's smoking dubs.
Ralph is like a big deal. Like he smokes a
Yeah.
whole gram.
He
like,
smokes a whole dub to the
real.
face.
He's
You
a
were
baller.
facing dubs.
Now forget about it. It's a joke. Forget about it. You can't even get
Yeah.
the needle going with a gram.
Nah. My niggas is out here smoking eighths to the face.
No. And if it's somebody's birthday, they might roll an ounce now because now you got these master rollers. They can put an ounce in a joint. I'm like, what is going on here? What happened to minimalism?
Yeah, and if you went past
Got
that,
out of control
if
a
you-
little bit wasteful there, guys.
word up. And if you want to go past that, then there's those that really, really, really smoke and want to hit dabs, hit grams of dabs in like one hit. Boom! You ever seen them shits on YouTube? They they take like a fucking dab and they stretch it out like a fucking string, and they hit it right there, like in your face, like they laying it down slowly and they hitting it as they laying it down and just hit it. Bam! Take that one hit. The professional dab hitters, their lungs is stupid expanded. I don't know how they doing it, but that's it. We like at the age where you smoke stupid hard. Like I can't imagine
and
that.
Then what
I will
happens
pass
is
out.
the tolerance is getting so high with these concentrates from dabbing that when they get too deep in that and they start doing that on a consistent basis, you pass them a joint and they're like, it's like a cigarette. You can pass them a whole eighth in a blunt. They're like, oh no, I need a dab.
They need a dab.
It's not gonna cut it.
Yeah, man. See, to me, a dab hit is like crazy. Like I took a dab hit last night before I went home, which I shouldn't have did. I was wasted, like because you don't feel it right there. You feel it like after, especially me, because we got shit going on, and boom, I took the dab hit, smoked the joint, whatever. By the time I like got to my like front of my building, I was like wasted. I felt like I smoked 1,000 blunts to the face.
The first time I took a dab hit, I had to stay and sleep where I took the dab hit out till the next day.
There you go.
That was my lesson to be gentle and be careful with this dabbing thing because it's a little extreme. It's not for the faint of heart, ladies and gentlemen.
It's not for the faint of heart.
I always tell people,
I
like,
love flour.
If it was an analogy, basically, and you compared it to alcohol, it's like smoking is like having a mixed drink or a cocktail. I believe dabbing is like jamming shots of tequila. Not little shots either.
Straight to the face. Yo, shout out to the dabbers out here, especially in New York, man, because there ain't too many dabbers in New York. It's not really a big thing yet. I think West Coasters are really, really big on taking dabs. And shit, if you're a dabber in New York, shout out to you. You crazy.
No, that culture is definitely growing by the day. There's a lot of people now. Shout out to our people in higher standards where now these things are accessible because the stores
they got
like
the fly
theirs.
shit. Yeah, they got the super fly shit.
It's like a lot of people are getting into it because they have a lot of options, a lot of introductory level ways. And
they got things like the puff coat. Like I don't know if you guys, again, I like to mention the puff coat because it's real easy. It's an easy thing to just dab. Shit is wireless. It's just like a smartphone of rigs. All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, as I take a drag of this blunt, we definitely love expressing what we like to say, what we like to, what we feel, what's going on, current events, past, present, and future of Happy Munkey.
I believe too that we are right now in the eye of the storm because I believe 2020 is going to be a big year in cannabis. So as we approach the end of the year, thank you guys for taking out the time to listen to the minds behind Happy Munkey. And just know, for all news, corporate culture, past, present, and future, we are here to give you a little glimpse of what's going on in this small town called New York City. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to present you the segment of Happy Munkey on the Boulevard, and there's always somebody new on the boulevard. Yeah, guys, like we said, we bring you the past, the present, the future. We bring you Ramon and Vlad. Now we gotta show you the other people on the boulevard that make us up, and our tastemakers and all our friends to hang out with us.
Absolutely. So we basically, it's time to show you what goes down on the boulevard. You know what I mean? On the Happy Munkey Boulevard. All right, guys. Tonight on the Boulevard. How can I say this? This person is a super OG writer, OG 420 lady, New York born Miss Evelyn Indica, everybody.
Hi.
Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you for coming along to the Boulevard to hang out with Vlad and Ramon on the Happy Monkey
Podcast.
Nice,
My sister.
nice.
So tell everybody who you are, what you do, what's your Instagram, how they can find you, all the good stuff, baby girl.
Okay, my name is Evelyn Indica, and I am the founder, CEO of the New York Cannabis Times. You can find me on NewYorkCannabisTimes.com, spell out New York. And you could also find me on the New York Cannabis Times Instagram handle. And I'm also on Facebook as the New York Cannabis Times as well. Was lucky to be able to trademark the name. And so far I'm an activist, as they call it here.
So what possessed you to become the New York Times of the cannabis industry? Help us understand how this all came about.
Absolutely.
And how did you come to
Put
this
us on.
magical company, and what was the epiphany?
The epiphany was, I was like, the company name is actually old. I incorporated in 2001.
Oh,
Mhm.
smart lady. Okay.
And it went under the handle The G Times.
Right.
Do business name the New York Cannabis Times. So I have a while trying to put this news site that I had in my head onto the internet. So life happened. I happened to own a business on St. Nick, a salad
By the
restaurant.
way, guys, that is Washington Heights, Manhattan, which is AKA Dominican land over here in New
Absolutely.
York City.
Saint Nick,
Just for
the
all
heart.
our listeners out there that doesn't know
Absolutely.
The home of the haze.
geographically
go.
where that is.
Yeah.
So I had a spot in St. Nick since I was 19, and we received. I got fired from my job, and I was the breadwinner. My mom was a single factory worker.
Oh yeah. So you had to go and
Yeah, so
Handle
there was
business.
a lot of guys on 184. I had two choices, so I'd rather join them. You know what
Right,
I'm saying?
of
Than-
course.
Than end up today, in a bad position, probably a statistic.
Absolutely.
So I turned around and one of my friends said, "Why are you crying?" I was like, "I got fired." He's like, "Yo, but you went to school with JJ, just
yeah.
go buy an ounce." And I was like, "You serious?" And how much is an ounce? He goes, "You'll take your last check and buy an ounce off of JJ. He'll sell it to you. For you, he'll sell it. But otherwise, he ain't gonna sell it. He's detallado." I was like, "Okay, but how do I do it?" And they got me a scale. They got me
Yeah,
all-
yeah. They
I
gave
didn't
you
even
the-
have to.
They gave you the 101s.
101 of how to retail in Manhattan uptown streets.
This shit cost me $350.
Can we know what year this was?
This was 1989, the summer of 1989.
What kind of weed was that?
It was the infamous Indica La Tabla.
La tabla. Let them know what a tabla is.
La Tabla, it was a special technique basically done by Jamaicans, because my connects would all go to Jamaica and connect with these people, of course.
Shout out to my Jamaicans.
So, in the end, when you would break it, it came like a tablet, So what it was nice green weed inside, and on the outside, it was hashish. So they would compress it with cannabis oils and hashish, and before you know it, it was la tabla. If you
Right.
wanted to smoke the shit, you had to literally have a little gem and literally, crush it up or
Put
have
it in a
scissors.
little aluminum foil and burn it and open it up.
Heat it up, melt it, right?
Yeah,
Right?
no,
so it could get soft.
The microwave came real handy.
The microwave came handy.
Well, we didn't know back then that
Yeah.
this was the first version of concentrates, but we didn't know these terms back then.
Yes, in reality, it's the first version of a moon rock.
Ah, there you go.
There you go.
First version of a moon rock.
Yeah,
I like
because
that.
it's nice, green, healthy weed, right? And
Right
then
in
you
the middle,
dip
right.
it in oil like if you was going to make some pollo,
Yeah.
empanizado and shit. So You dip it in the stuff, and then you put the keef, and then you just let it dry. My desperate ass would like be on a blower.
Yeah.
But normally it came like that, like sealed in plastic, and sometimes I had to tear it off or put it in the microwave, or the blender became significant as well, because you would just sprinkle it with water like a dab, and then just turn on the blender and it would crush it up for you.
Come on, this is old school facts for y'all. She teaching y'all some real G shit right here. So you bought the ounce, you broke it down, you got it popping.
That is
basically
correct. I made them too fat. I had to turn. I started out with 10s, and then I said, Jay just charging me too much money, and the math ain't working. Something's wrong. No. So before you know it, my boy said, no, Evelyn, let's go to 174. Shout out to the 174, a.k.a. Ruben.
And all the bomb.
Ve, búscate una funda
whoever
de
was there
allá.
at that time.
Ve, búscate una funda de allá. So I go, I'm a chamaquita, so I go. An old school Luca was there, and I said, yo, I need a dime. He was there like, little girl, we don't got no dimes. I'm like, whoop down my toe. I got, what you got? He was like, well, we got 20s, 50s, and 100s. So let me get a 20 sack then. So from there on, I scaled it. At that time, it was 1.2.
What would you sell in these 1.2 for?
A gram and 2 lines for $20.
$20, 1.2.
Of what? What was it?
Ruben's cream crack, that Hawaiian, that puree from back in the day.
Yeah.
Era Hawaiian.
Hawaiian strain.
Beat
Before
And-
the haze, it was Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Before the haze, it was Hawaiian. And before the Hawaiian, we just had brown weed.
All
A
brown
black-
chocolate. You remember
The-
chocolate?
yeah,
time?
around your block, they
Yeah.
had like a little Jamaican shop.
Yeah.
A black chocolate tie. We had all this beautiful 8-hour high.
Lamb
chocolate.
spread.
Lamb spread. Yeah.
You killed it right there. You killed it right there.
Jamaicans was
Yeah.
rocking.
Jamaicans was before that. Jamaicans was had the whole situation
Yeah,
under control.
on lock.
People forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before the haze and the Hawaiian era, Jamaicans had the whole
Jamaicans had
game.
the whole city,
and
and
the
every
whole
hood,
game had to go
the
through
Jamaicans
them.
was
The
rocking,
Jamaicans
guaranteed.
they had tray bags. They had rolled
Yes,
joints and
yes.
Macooms and stuff.
So let's fast forward to when this now industry, because we're talking about the traditional industry, but now allegedly they incorporated, they legalized it, and now it's
Yeah.
an industry.
Yeah,
and
so
now
how-
we want in.
How does this young lady get involved in this part of the game?
So I'm a smoker as well. So I'm watching Oprah. This was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, yeah. I'm watching Oprah on some mastery shit. So being that I'm smoking, she's
Shout out to
talking.
Oprah.
Yeah,
She
she's
probably
talking
be
directly
smoking on
to
the
me. Like, Evelyn, what do you want to do? I said, I want to work in weed. And she said, well, don't get up from there until you hash it out. So I'm looking at Oprah, which is on my TV.
Oprah gave you the energy to win?
What? And I'm here like cannabis investments. And a whole mess of stuff popped up. Before you know it, I was filling out an application to write for Cannabis Journal. So she sends me to Denver. I felt like a kindergarten student. And I came back
Oh, you went to Denver?
Yeah.
that's
I went
dope,
to-
What
man.
year was this?
2017.
2017.
And it was the seed to sale in Denver, Colorado. So I ended up being...
Shout out to all our friends in Colorado.
Absolutely.
We
And
haven't
seed
been there
to
yet, but
sale,
we
they
have a
gave
lot
me
of
a
friends
great
over there.
welcoming.
Absolutely.
They gave me a great welcoming. It was cool. I did feel intimidated because it was like 5% Hispanic and black.
Yeah.
And I didn't meet any Hispanics. I just met like 3 or 4 African Americans.
Right.
And the rest were white people. I even, I felt intimidated until I had this coffee called Brew Buds. And
Shout
then
out to them.
Yeah, I thought it was the jet lag.
It took away the anxiety.
Yeah. I thought it was the jet lag, and then I said, oh my God, they're killing it with this. And then I said, nah, I'm going to just try to get in the best way I know how for now, which is writing, until you could get some type of large amount of cash to either what they wanted in 2017, they wanted for us to have 2,500 square feet of land, at least in the legal states, California and Colorado.
There wasn't many at that time.
Not many.
No record whatsoever, not even smoking pot. So it was kind of difficult and intimidating.
That excluded a lot of minorities right there with those
Off the bat.
off the bat.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's messed up. I got caught smoking in front of my mom's door, and I can't get into the industry.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
The
And
hypocrisy of the democracy.
that is correct. And now the original dispensaries, people like us, because we are the original medical marijuana doctors.
Pretty much.
So there's no possible way that you could not, if it really is unfair and hypocritical, because to get into the industry, at least in New York, we're New Yorkers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who wouldn't love to have a dispensary like from our neighborhoods, the OGs?
Absolutely.
course.
I mean, even now, everybody's still on the front line. Anybody who's out there in the hoods and the blocks and the shops and delivery services, everybody's still on the front line. You're not necessarily, So the whole hope is for all of us to get an opportunity, right?
That is correct. How are they going to fix that and make it up? Right now seems to me like the Gran Conquista. You understand?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I would say, how are we gonna inform them?
There you go.
So
And
they can,
People
we can
like
get
you,
involved.
the New York Times of cannabis, are the platforms that are gonna be the voice to
Exactly.
get this information out and to get our people rallied up and have a
exactly.
voice in this industry.
in this
yeah, because
industry,
we
we
can't
have
just
to.
go and make noise and shout, ha ha ha. We gotta
Check this out. We
be
taught
specific.
them how to tweak the system for like for your home grow. Maybe you could say it was the Cubans that started the growth. You know what I'm saying? So even the Cubans taught a lot of people how to tweak the lights and
Yeah.
how to play with this.
Yeah.
We went from dirt to water to hydroponics to we did everything. So now these people right now, for a Hispanic to come into the industry, what's left for us?
Yeah, it's gonna be very difficult.
They have the vape pens. They're gonna shut it down. They have the moon rocks. I just spoke to you about La Tabla.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the moon rocks has nothing to do with Jamaicans anymore.
Yeah.
It has something to do with some corrupt or whoever else.
Well, at least it's corrupt. I fuck with
At the,
that.
at
I
the
fuck
end of
with
the
them.
day,
I
we
fuck with
all know the way this country works. Nothing in life worth having is easy. The key is media outlets like you to give voices
Yeah.
to people so they can inform them and tell them
Exactly.
how,
How
they
do-
could get their voice to
Exactly.
politicians, to legislation,
You know how
etc.,
hard that
etc.
is?
Because
It's
it's
hard.
about this. We can get their attention. The attention we can hold their attention. So now that we got their attention, when we get their attention, what are we gonna tell them? Do you understand?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
What I
we
got
can't
for you.
we can't let them tell us how they're gonna give us the opportunity. We gotta kind of break it down to them. We gotta give them a blueprint. Like, yo, this is how we want in, and we don't just want in. We want our own.
Mm-hmm. See how, how you could write a grant, like for instance, right now for a hemp farm in New York, there's a pilot program. Right now, they're not accepting any applications, but like let's say you graduated from CCNY and you got a botany master's, bachelor's, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
You right now can get a grant for $500,000 to open up your hemp farm in the state of New York.
See, but without media outlets like yours,
Yeah,
our
nobody
people
here would
doesn't know that.
Nobody's promoting that.
They
That
don't
is
know
correct.
these things.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't even know they could get their smoking weed and possession expunged.
Can you tell us when you started this media outlet in 2017, what was the article that helped you catch traction and helped you get notoriety?
The mold in the weed.
The mold and the weed.
That's
What are we really lighting up? When you're in the street industry, sometimes you gotta take a lot of work. There was this January that I received a whole lot of brown moldy stuff.
We've all seen that. People confront like they damn. When you're in New York, you take what your dealer sells to you, right?
Fact. And if I tell you it's crack, it's crack.
Yeah, and then when you go
You're gonna
home,
be like,
it's
yo,
like,
that's
oh,
that
fuck.
shit, that's that is, and then you know. But see, being that a lot of people, Hispanics, for instance, we're great at agriculture. You can see it off the back that she got mold, So some people are like, I lost 3 pounds basically, and some of it we smoked, Downside, I have a severe allergy to mold and anything that has yeast, and even when my body loses the balance, because you build yeast, you build mold in your body, you know. So even every
Yeah,
time
that
you're
didn't
fighting
help.
a fever, you're building yeast. So if I lose my pH balance, I'll break out in hives on some patelito and some stuff.
So what was in the article that you felt that caught so many people's attention?
That he died of cancer, but he was a smoker.
Who did?
This young man that died of cancer in Colorado, and he was a smoker, and they established that he was in his lungs, it was a mold that usually is created by plants. Usually you can find in plants, and more likely than not in cannabis. So his condition led him basically to smoke and die. He was already on chemo. You know, I left him nameless because people have families, you know.
Of course, yes.
And the stigma is strong. So you'd be like, oh, how do you mean he died from weed? What do you mean he died from weed?
Yeah.
You understand?
When
So
it's
that
not
was one
that
of the
simple,
first
it was-
people
yeah,
that
it's not that-
actually was in the media for dying for weed. And this was in 2017. So I put that up, and I put also the story about receiving that moldy weed and how legalization is important because we have this thing called standardization. So you got to live up to that standard, and you got to test that standard, and it has to not have pesticide, not have mold, not have, you know, understand these things that are hurting us. And we
It's
have
not the weed, it's the people that are not growing it properly,
Yeah,
are
not
not
taking care of
taking
it.
care of it properly.
the game is taking care of it, because you know that in the old school we know that the growers they're in love with their plants.
Absolutely. I've never met a grower to this day that's not in love with their plants.
He's in love with his plants, so he don't really want to put pesticide in
No.
it. Well, maybe he's too, you know, he didn't know it had pesticide
Yeah,
in
maybe
it.
back in the days you don't know what you don't know, but after you know, you got to be conscious of the fact, and you got to do what's right?
And some of the issues were really found in the packaging and in the traveling. New York had been getting weed from out of state for years.
There's no other way to get weed.
There was no,
not so many
yeah.
New Yorkers are growers. This is not what New York is known for. New York are a bunch of smokers. That's it. We a bunch of consumers here.
And quality consumers.
Absolutely.
We're just picky,
We
really
love the
picky
good shit.
smoker, you
Once
know what I'm
once you
saying?
introduce us to the good shit, that's all we want.
Yeah,
That's it.
'cause
It's over.
I feel that that's
We
why
like the finer things in life, there's no doubt about that.
that is why it's the home of the haze. And then, you know, but that caught everybody's attention. Back to the story, and I followed it a couple of times, and I still follow it with the vapes. I emphasize the vapes. Because a lot of people come to me and they say, yo, this looks good, this smells. And I would get these vapes, and I only received one plug that had an actual 83 to 85% THC and 15% terpenes. So those cannabinoids that are coming in those terpenes, that was the only one. And I noticed after every vape pen after that from the black market that none of them tasted. Everything tasted like metal. You know, and that scared me. So I just, you know, and then I started spreading the word. And then that's when the New York Cannabis Times, after I did the story on the kid with the mold, then I focused on the New York Cannabis Times. You know what? I'm going to start sharing news that I want to read.
Was there any specific big cannabis industry person online that started following you that like gave you notoriety that caught wind of you? Aside from Happy Munkey, aka
Aside from Happy Munkey, yeah, because I've been watching
Aside
Happy
from the
Munkey
fam.
for a hot minute, and I was just like, you know. So one day I'm coming out of school, because I go to school at night. I'm coming out of school, and I said it says Stephen D'Angelo.
That's a big one. Shout out to Steve D'Angelo,
Steve
the
D'Angelo
godfather of
brothers.
cannabis.
So I'm in a
Steve and
rush.
Andrew.
I'm trying to get my puffs in, because I puff and study. So I'm trying to get my puffs in, and the highlight Steve D'Angelo. I only had like maybe 400 followers when Steve, I call him Steven, because I say to myself, is this the real one? You know, how they have a lot of, like, when you see Cheech and Chong, I got like 5 Cheech and Chongs. I don't know which one's which, but sometimes I do.
Pages. You don't know which is
Yeah, so then I said, nah, it's probably somebody named like Steven. So I left. I go back to class. I come outside. I check it out. I felt like I won the lottery.
Well, yeah, in the cannabis world, he's,
And Etain,
he's
shout
that
out.
dude.
Etain, shout out the ladies of Etain.
Etain.
Real quick, Women Grow.
Women grow.
It was just
Yes.
Those
and I
are
was getting
all
intimidated.
Those are all legitimate
Big
official
people.
companies in
Absolutely.
the cannabis industry.
And then,
all strong.
Yeah, very,
pillars
very,
here
very
in
strong
New York.
women. And the Stephen D'Angelo blew me because I had left to Florida at one point in my life. And the first couple of days I caught the change of temperature, whatever it was. I caught a fever. I was down for days. One of the documentaries I saw was the one with Stephen D'Angelo. And it had the guy that had the seizures as well. It was a big documentary, and I'm like in between fever and blunts, and I'm saying, dang, he's an OG for real, and look at where he's at now in the weed game. See, that's what I'm saying.
For those that don't know out there in Happy Monkey Land, Steve D'Angelo is the founder of Harborside, one of the
look him up.
founders of Arcview. He's done everything from the black market to the gray market. He's like the Jay-Z of the cannabis industry.
That's correct.
Yeah,
That
'cause
is correct right now.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
the man. He's the man. And that blew my head. And then I said, I'm getting all these people on hashtags that I'm copying and pasting into my little notepad so I could have the same hashtags every time I put a article. And they're only interested, there actually are other people interested in knowing what I want to read. So basically, I took the weed game and put it basically into literature.
Nice. Nice.
If
See?
I like this weed and it smacks me, I'm hitting it in St. Nick. You heard? I don't care if I buy 800
and
an
what you
ounce.
did is so instrumental here in New York City, because the number one issue when I talk to everybody from politicians to corporate people to advocates, everybody, is the lack of information out here, that the people don't understand how this industry is shaping. So it's very hard for them to have their say or to let it go through, because they just don't understand it. So what you're doing is helping people understand how the industry is working, what current news that they don't have access to.
That is correct. And then it was simple, but at the same time hard, because that's when, about a year ago, when I finally uploaded my first article in the New York Cannabis Times Instagram, what I noticed was that people had a hard time believing that in Colorado, the OGs from St. Nick, even the growers, even from Dykeman, from every part of New York, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, the whole kit and caboodle, were going to be left out completely.
That is correct.
Completely.
That is okay.
From the records to the knowledge. Because right now, as it stands, unless you're certified in cannabis or they take your word for it as an OG, you're not getting a job in none of these industries. Maybe as a bud tender. You imagine after you've been growing
after you've been doing all
3,000 trees or 4,000 trees in
30
3
years,
months.
20 years of
Now they want to give you $15 an hour to clip a tree.
That's why it's taking a little bit of time here in New York, because it's so complex, and they know that the current way is not going to work.
Yeah.
That is
not
correct.
in
There's
this city.
several things going on
Yeah,
in the
the city,
legalization of
yeah.
New York City. There's a lot of things on the table. There's government funding for the DNA data bank. I'm tight with that shit. I'm really tight because we already got a social. You understand?
Of course.
That's my stamp, my social. And my personal social that I was born with is my genome. So now you smoke a blunt in October 2012. I got it memorized because I had to do a thesis paper on that in school. So on October 2012, Governor Cuomo passed a law DNAing everybody that went through the system for a misdemeanor.
I recall this, yes.
From a misdemeanor to a felony. The thing was
Crazy.
that I got bagged in front of my mom's building smoking a blunt. I hadn't even lit the shit up
That's crazy.
when he came.
How many people that happened to?
You know what I'm saying? So I slept.
People don't know how oppressed we were before they decriminalized it here for all these years in New York, how we were persecuted and oppressed like we were, doing the worst thing in the world. People in other places don't understand how it was typical for so many people to go through the system and to be convicted just for smoking their medicine.
That is correct.
So,
And then at the time, there was a lot of things going in my personal life plus school. So I got arrested in September. So
2012, right? You said?
2012. I had finished getting back. I had a year back from Florida. So I'm getting my life back together. I get bagged, smoking weed. I've never been through the system really. So when I get there, dude tells me that I have to swab, 90-day surcharge, and a 3-day community service. I took control of the call right quick. No. He said, what? I said, no. I looked at the legal aid. I said, no, you're not. If I was 19, yeah. If I was 20, yeah. You could probably catch me on 29, just wanting to go home to mommy's and take a shower.
Yeah. I know better now.
Yeah.
And I said, no. He was like, no, you're not taking my genome. I'm sorry. So, how are we going to do this? I have the right to say no for the genome.
So they try to swab, for your DNA for
And
a marijuana arrest.
Smoking in front of my mom's building where I've been smoking at since I was 19.
So basically, a possession charge. Because
A
that's what they hit
possession
you with.
charge.
So for a possession charge of a joint of marijuana, they try to swap. All right.
That is correct.
And you had to spend the night in
in
jail.
Central Booking.
Oh, okay, you went through the whole system.
And at that time, they were supposed to have implemented under the 22.22 grams was decriminalization, right? That's how I found out that it had been decriminalized since 1977 because of this thesis paper, which getting bagged actually helped me get an A for. You understand?
Crazy. You turned that little.
That's
So lately,
step.
when Cuomo throws his little legalization words and plays these semantic games, that's when I say, you think we're stupid? Really, you think we're stupid? And what offends me is that many of us OGs put our DNA in the system because we didn't know better. Because first of all,
some
like
people
I said,
didn't have a choice like you, because if you were for a more major offense, they didn't really give you a choice.
Yeah.
that is correct. But if you're going in for smoking or for selling weed or, like I said,
something
smoking,
minor, something
minor, that day we so happened to have basically a Washington Heights reunion at the 3-4 precinct. They were like, "Oh shit, they got eat, yo, eat, you eat."
For the same shit? Like
All
most
for
of them, right?
weed. Everybody was weed. There was only one guy that was there for a serious felony.
Everybody else is.
Everybody else was weed.
That's
they put the
ridiculous.
whole Heights like from 181st to
They were
189.
making their quota with the weed.
September. It is September.
Crazy.
So it so happens that they all swabbed. And when we all got out, that we met up that same weekend, because we're from the same, two blocks away, each of us. And the Heights is a family. Everybody knows everybody. So, you swabbed? They swab you? Yeah, they swab me. Yeah, they swab. It became my little pet peeve. Last year I broke my foot. I had a lot of time on my hand. And I uploaded the New York Cannabis Times first articles. And it was about DNA swabbing. It was about vapes. It was about decriminalization.
So was that your favorite personal article that you put out?
I like to say that I'm specializing with the mold. And I'm specializing with that DNA, yeah.
Those are your
Like
two
if it was right now a specialty, why? Because this is something personal and private to you. I have an autoimmune disorder, so I have a very good doctor. She takes my DNA. She asked me, Evelyn, do you want to know where you come from? I said, I know very well where I come from. So no, I don't want to know. Everything that has to do with physical, even up to intelligence, yes, let me know. Checked it all off, But she asked me for this permission so that she could treat my autoimmune disorder down to a T. Beautiful. That's when I started coming to the events. And that's how I ended up meeting you guys. My first event after my first treatment was 420, that I was just blown away as soon as They opened me up the elevator doors up here, and I saw the smoke, and I said, "Oh my fucking goodness."
Let's go back to a subject we haven't tapped into that we ask every guest. What was your first experience consuming cannabis, and how did it affect you, and what was your love affair with cannabis after that?
It was crazy because my first time I didn't even get high. It didn't hit me. Like, I didn't find that it hit me. And then one time, a friend said to another friend in Dykeman, they had a saying. They only hung out with the tribes, the tree tribes. So, old school Dykeman guys. So, ¿pa qué huele si hay hierba? And I'm hearing these people, so what's all of this about the weed? What's all of this? Because I was drug free, basically. So, I wanted to try it.
Say that quote again in Spanish. For
¿Pa qué huele si hay hierba? They were from 140s, the old school Tato boys. The old school Tato boys, ¿pa qué huele si hay hierba? Y un tro de acuario, y un tro de vaina. So, ya tú sabes, one was the nose tribe, and then we were the tree tribes. No te salga de tu tribu.
Yeah, for those who don't speak English, she said, why sniff when you got weed? You know what I mean? Basically, you know what I'm saying? So.
That's some good shit.
So what was it that happened? How did the first experience go? What did you smoke?
What?
Kind of paper did you
So
smoke?
after that,
Details.
We smoked some chocolate Thai, and it was from the Bronx, right there off of University. You could say it was towards
Elliot?
Yeah, because it was towards the Andrews side. It was like in between, yeah. So it was off of University, abandoned buildings, and it was a little hole in the building. And you stuck the money through there, and he gave you, and we smoked a tray bag of Thai, and I had not.
What did you guys roll it in?
It was already rolled in bamboo paper.
Ah, the good old bamboo. You know that was back
Bamboo
in the
paper.
days.
Oh,
How old
my
were you?
God. I was, 17?
17.
So that was my first romance. My mother wasn't having it. She still isn't. Even if
People don't know
Yeah.
in Dominican culture that cannabis is lurked at worse than if you were sniffing cocaine.
That is fact.
Yeah, mom's
People
wasn't
don't know
feeling
that.
My mom
back in
is
the old country.
still not having it. When she first found
They don't like the smell. They don't like the whole
they think
Right.
that you are in a gateway to become a crackhead.
Yes.
There you
That
go.
is
You're 5
Oh,
minutes
there
from
you go.
becoming
very
a
good
crackhead,
analogy. That's exactly how you see it.
addicted to weed, on
Yep.
dope.
Yep.
Just the same day that I went to expungement, I heard a woman say, "Mira, eso es la hierba que lo tienen así," and that's it. It was the weed that has them
Yeah,
sleeping,
yeah.
that has them,
A dope head.
yeah. So it's hard. The stigma is hard. So I said, you know what? Let me hit the New York Cannabis Times. Really
So when
hard.
after the first time you were 17, when did you become a frequent smoker after that?
After that same day, that's it. It was
That's
over.
it.
Off
It
to the
was
races.
Off to the races. Off to the races.
I'm a
It's all-
loner. I'm a thinker.
Yeah.
I like reading. I like dreaming. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And then I have ADD, so not ADHD, ADD. So it's like my mind works more, and I'm more focused when I smoke.
Nice.
It's easier for me to focus because just at any point in time I'll just lose it. So I noticed that I was focusing, went back to school, did what I had to do, all on weed.
So basically, cannabis has saved you and put you in
A position
right
that
direction.
Yeah.
a lot
I
of
could have
times in your life.
probably been a sniper, because you're a New Yorker and you'd be like getting some serious rage sometimes, and you'd be like,
I tell people that New Yorkers, by default, they're born with stress. Like if you were born in New York, that's it. You're born with stress, no matter what race you are, black, white, Dominican, Chinese, whatever. You're born with stress.
People don't know that.
I say it all the time. I got street PTSD. I hear a siren, no lie, and it just like takes me to a different place. You know what I'm saying? So I do have street PTSD. But since I was 17, I've been a avid smoker. Then I started smoking from the heights. that tabla. That was my favorite weed, and you could only get it on 186, or you could only get it on it was the Dykeman area.
Familiar.
Gracias. A donde está el poster de Mike.
You would know, young man.
Tú me entiendes?
True
No
New
shame.
Yorkers here.
True New Yorkers
Absolutely.
here, and I was just like 100 pounds wet, smoking mad weed, and I loved it. And then I noticed once I became friends with them that they told me how it's done, and I always found it fascinating that all the people that would come to me, it was like what they teach you at yoga temples. Like especially if you join a yoga temple for drug reasons, there's 3 type of drugs for 3 type of people, which is the weed. You almost find always humble people, good people, you know. So since I was 17, in love with her.
So what do you see now? We like to do past, present, and future. So you told us about the past, you told us about the present. What do you see in the future for, of course, the New York Cannabis Times and the industry in New York City right now? What do you see on the horizon?
Well, lately I've been saying to myself, because I use a lot of motivational things. I listen to a lot of motivational. I'm not going to be humble about it. If I played with the big boys in St. Nick, I'm going to play with the big boys of literature.
Absolutely.
That's a very good mentality. I like that perspective.
And I don't want to be a
man.
New York Post, nor even a Daily News.
You went for the.
We got the
I'm going
internet.
for the,
Critically
I'm going
acclaimed.
for the
Whoever you
Wall
wanna be
Street
now.
Journal, New York Times, New Yorker type,
You could
Times
be that person.
Monthly magazine.
You could be that person for cannabis right now. That's what people don't understand. We spoke about this in our first one, that people gotta learn. The way to get in is learn how to bring whatever skill you had in the old traditional industry to the new one.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it some way, somehow.
And even in those days,
This
I
shit
was
is all new right now.
shy to start out. Like, you had to hustle.
Mm-hmm.
So the guys will hustle for me, you know. And Instagram was like, Instagram will hustle for me. I saw it like, okay,
Yeah,
Instagram is going to
that's-
hustle for me.
Why not? That's a tool.
People don't know
forget.
that. That
It's
could
a
be either a
tool.
gift or a curse. It's just on your
Yeah.
perspective.
That is correct.
Absolutely.
Because at the same time, when the guys were gone, you know, once St. Nick was cleaned up, you know, it was just like I had to learn how to hustle. So I was on some freca shit. I would see some peeps and I would be like, yo, I got that shit that'll make your hair grow, man. Yo, holla at me, yo. I got that shit. I got hit by a car on the 6th block in Watts talking about, yo, Memo, me llegó una maldita hierba. Yo, go see the guys. They're on the block. Bang, and I got hit by a car listening to Patra on some shit. High as a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
She said,
Y los
"Listen to
tigres
Patrick."
dije, yo,
She
it's
said-
Evelyn. It's Evelyn. Everybody came, and
This
I
is
mean,
life in New York City, guys.
New York
It
City,
it goes down.
in the middle of any Ave. It goes down on the boulevard, baby.
Who gets the scythe?
Yo, whatever. You can pass it to wherever you want. Baby. You the
So
queen.
what do
You
you
the queen
see
right now.
coming now for the industry, and what are the next
All of us
things
have-
coming up
yeah,
for
yeah.
the New York Cannabis Times?
What I see for the industry is a lot of eye openers, but the sad thing that this is just like my personal prediction that I read or I wrote. I haven't even written about it, so even better.
Exclusive, only on the
Exclusive
boulevard on
prediction.
Happy Munkey.
Just yeah. What's on your mind?
The powers that be, Agent Orange, will use cannabis for his votes, and we're gonna once again fall flat on our asses like we did with Cuomo. Cuomo used cannabis to kick Cynthia Nixon's ass. No pun intended, you know.
But shout out to her, because if it wasn't her
She-
putting that flame under his seat, then he wouldn't have had to use it. She forced his hand.
He felt intimidated. Because when you say, wait a minute, let's give these people some drugs, like they call it, right? Because at that time they're calling it drugs.
Yes.
Let's give these people some drugs para que no dejen tranquilo and so they can
Yeah.
forget about the Cynthia girl.
So they could leave
Because
us alone.
Cynthia's going to do something, you know. It's like
Yeah, she made noise with that.
she made a lot of noise with that.
What would you recommend to all of the people from our minority communities that want to get their voice out there and want to try to make a difference, just like you did, what would you recommend to them?
Do like cannabis with Kim B.
Yeah.
Kim B. Shout out
Like,
to Kim
Shout
B.
out to Cannabis.
Yo,
with
she's that chick.
Yeah,
So, she said, just come out here. You gotta come out.
You gotta show up.
You gotta show up. People don't want to show up.
Yeah.
Everybody's discouraged, and everybody thinks that that's a way, they're going to have a government of everybody that grows. Yeah, they might have that list, but you don't know what it's for. Maybe you have a certain strain.
Closed mouth don't get fed on the boulevard. Not this one or any of them.
Yeah.
So they see it that way, or they see, like, New York charges $500,000 off the back for you to open up a dispensary. The Safety Act with the bank is important because maybe we can get the minority loans.
That's a big milestone, guys. Just in case you don't know, they just passed the Safety Act, which now federal banks will be able to accept money from the cannabis industry. Prior to this, they could not, which is a step in the right direction, a big step.
Yeah, and then your brother actually schooled me on, because today was a crazy day, so I didn't have a chance to check that out. So your brother schooled me on that.
Yeah, I was texting. Yeah.
But let's see if they let us have these minority loans that they be having. They get you minority and the grants to get in.
That's the whole point. That it's not about them letting us. It's about us showing up.
Yeah.
They don't
And putting
show
the
up.
pressure on them to create
Exactly.
these grants.
Exactly.
I felt good because I know that the guys I grew up with, they listen to me, so I go and I nag them, you know what I'm saying? Like a little sister, yo, you gotta hear, yo, I went to the Happy Munkey, you gotta go, oh my God, you gotta go, or let's go to one of these meetings, and everybody says yeah, and they never show up, I think it's about that you need a lot of money. It's all about money at the end of the day. But sometimes I started this out basically with a free Instagram.
Well, that's exactly. So this is what I'm saying. My whole approach on a lot of things is always, because none of us are rich, so you always got to work with what you got. So if you want to do something, right, you work with what you got to get with what you want. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you get what you need, you try to get all the tools that you need, and you move forward with what you got, and that's it. If not, you just never gonna move forward, whether you got the money or not.
Yeah, because
You know
if you don't give it your all, you have to give it your all. It has to become your baby. This is my baby. I'm not gonna tell you that maybe. Yeah, I want to sell it and have the hood call me a seller while you sold New York Cannabis Times.
Yeah,
But
why
I don't want
not?
to sell it now.
Nah,
Maybe
have somebody give you a couple million for that. Why not? Why wouldn't you
know-
take a couple million, set your family up on a nice foundation
Oh
for
my
yourself and
God,
everybody?
But
because
the-
I want
the-
to see
me.
it grow up.
The reality is this, though, that this is New York City, this is Manhattan, and there are a lot of other peoples that have a lot of money that don't know exactly what to do in cannabis.
Yep.
And if you showed up and you learned how the industry works, you learned how to create a company, there will be people, and you present it in a good way, that will put up the money, because there's
Exactly.
no shortage of money around here.
That
Believe
is-
me.
that is a
But you
fact.
have to take those steps that you said
Exactly.
and take the leap of faith
But
and
you know
start
what?
somewhere.
And
I'm
got your
listening
tools
to
to
my
ground.
OGs, though.
Rome wasn't built in a day. It was built
That is
brick by
correct.
brick, and everybody has this mentality like it's just gonna happen, and they're just gonna give it to them, and they're never gonna give us anything, and we all know that.
That is correct. So you gotta, like my friend says, if there's an opportunity, is when that door knock, don't even answer. Just break down the door.
Yeah.
Don't even answer. Don't even wait for it to knock. Just break down the door. An opportunity be right there. Now, what's intimidating is, at least for me, I'm a woman. It wasn't until I learned about women growing in Denver that I found out that women were leading a big line. I was like, what? Did they got girls in there? Oh, hell no, wait. I got to see this. But it was beautiful for me to see that side. Like I said, I came in like a kindergarten student, and I'm humble. I know that I had to learn everything from scratch, even from the streets to the corporate, and it's hard to ask another person for money when you already learned that asking is not good. Wait till you're offered.
Well, I'll tell you this much. You got something that's worth more than money. Because the one thing right now that the rest of the world and the weed world don't got is what you have, which is the information and the content that's happening, what's happening in New York City, and not just corporate industry New York City, and all the information, all the dope information that you do have. You got your ear to the ground.
That's true.
So like I said,
because I'm giving my perspective.
Absolutely.
And it so happens that my perspective comes from, wait a minute, hell no, I want in.
Right.
I was out there for too many winters. Too many winters with too many pairs of sweats on to not get my piece at what I do best.
But would you agree that once you started showing up to all these different things,
my life changed.
A lot changed.
Yeah.
So that's
overnight, and it's crazy.
That's half the battle.
That is
There's so
half
many
the battle.
different
Now you see
networking
light.
places. Women Grow, Revel. There's a lot
Yeah.
of different ones, but you have to do your due diligence, find out about them, show up,
Yeah.
and unlike other industries, what we've learned, and I'm sure you can agree, is that people are really embrace you in this industry. And
everybody's
they really
approachable.
want you to show up.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it was like a dual personality. You understand? So Evelyn is shy. Now Sour Indica says what she got to say, you know what I'm saying? So as soon as you walk out the door, if you're a New Yorker, you know that that's it. You have a face for everybody. That's why Facebook makes so much money. Communication says you have a face for everyone. You don't have the same face for your mom that you have for your dad or your girlfriend or your kids or the homies. You have a different face for everyone, So I knew that I had to put on this face and protect Evelyn, the Catholic schoolgirl, from very strict Dominican parents, very strict and, in some cases, well-known parents, too.
Shit, you dodging church and parents from smoking weed. That's
So,
no joke.
it's still like my mom will pass by me. If she sees me anywhere within the vicinity of 181st to 188, she'll be like, she'll just walk by. She'll say, wait a minute. She'll give me that look like, what are you doing around here?
The deaf look.
You know what I'm saying? And then I'll be like, okay. So I saw my mom. I know how she's going to react. So I'll just let it be. I don't fight against it anymore. I told her the other day, and I said, didn't you always want me to be a reporter? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, now I'm going to be a reporter for a magazine about cannabis.
Your own shit.
And she looked at me like, not even if they legalize, but she's been using the CBD creams. She has. Shout out to the CBD creams. Shout out to the miracles that they're creating.
They've been medicating so many people and helping so many ailments.
That is correct. And she's noticed that she's gone to her doctors and nothing has changed in her system. So it's pretty, but I do predict that hopefully some of my friends will follow me. If they don't, I have to be all right with it. But I've made a choice that tomorrow when I come out of work, I only work 4 blocks away, hit the Happy Monkeys.
There you go.
So
we want to thank you, darling,
Absolutely.
for coming on the boulevard with Ramon and Vlad. We know you could be anywhere in the world and you're here with us in Happy Monkey Land. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, though.
Absolutely.
This is mad love. I do appreciate every step of the way. That it's like I told my brother, I know that to trust people in the industry, in any industry, is difficult.
Yeah.
So I feel at home with you guys. So that's difficult.
Thank you, sister.
You know what I'm saying? So once I feel at home, once I feel, comfortable, then okay, let me pass by, let me go, and now my itinerary is a little bit more loose.
We want to thank you also for allowing us to be the first people to ever interview the founder of the
And probably the only. Probably the only.
Get this exclusive.
Yeah,
Yes,
probably
sir.
because
Yes,
it's
sir.
just
Thank you very much.
So it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah, so
for the first time.
before we get up out of here, we ask everybody the one word, right? We ask everybody that steps into the chair right here, the Happy Monkey one word situation.
If you had to describe Happy Munkey in one word, the brand, the movement as a whole, what one word would it be?
You can't duplicate your DNA. DNA. That's a word.
DNA. Is what you would describe.
You're innovative.
That means a lot.
Innovative.
Thank you for seeing us in that light.
Innovative. It just, your intro, I've sent it to all my peoples. Yo, we got what? This is like a dream come true. Like a place that you could go. This is like a dream come true. So it's undescribable. So I used to send out your intros. Just send out your intros. If the elevator guy asks, it's undescribable. So I would send out the intro.
So, once again, thank you, Mrs. New York Cannabis Times, for coming on the Boulevard with Happy Munkey. Till next time.
Applause to the queen.
Thank you for having me. And thank you, Universe. This was good.
So, thank you again, Mrs. New York Cannabis Times, for coming and expressing all your insights and views with us. With your presence, we really appreciate you. Till next time, Happy Munkey Land. Vlad and Ramon checking out.
Thank you. Bye, Vlad. Thank you, Cannabis community. Thank you, Happy Munkey Goodies, for having me. It was a blast. It really was eye-awakening. So thank you. Hopefully I'll come back again. And it was great.
Everybody, be safe out there. It's Halloween. I know, it's still Gotham City, so don't stray off into the wrong alley. Keep stick close to your friends and shit like that. Don't take candies from strangers. You know the drill.
Same way, don't take weed from strangers either, and just smoke out, vibe out, and enjoy the holidays, guys. Checking out from the Happy Munkey Boulevard, Vlad and Ramon. Till the next episode, do the right thing like Spike Lee.
What's good, everybody? This is your nigga Ralph, trying to keep you fresh with the info from Happy Munkey every single podcast. You already know what it is. If you haven't followed us yet, follow us on Instagram at HappyMunkey_ or Happy Munkey Goodies. Now remember, that's monkey with a U. Also, if you haven't checked us out, we're on YouTube. So check out our channel, Happy Munkey TV. Keep us current, live, and everything with the culture.